Okay, welcome back, baseball fans. This is a stunning eliminating the Baltimore Orioles video. And what you're looking at, first of all, is 2021, last year. This was a team 2 years ago won the World Series. But last year they were still a playoff team. They were 23-17, getting knocked out in the wild card round by the Tigers. You see the batting starts to slip last year, 240, with a team ERA of 342, which is, of course, very respectable for a team noted for their pitching. Bobby Gritsch was an all-star with his rookie card, 310, nice year for him. Look down at the third player on this hitting, Frank Robinson. Hit 270, 734 RBI. Not a great year, but he did decent enough work for a team that struggled hitting anyway. They only hit 240 as a club. Take a note of Boog Powell, who at 227 was 727 RBI last year in this offense. And when you look at the pitching staff, it was very respectable. Cuellar 7-4, 346 is okay. Palmer 500 record, but a 344, it's okay. It's nothing amazing. Like I said, they did not go to the World Series. They went to the playoffs, though, as a wild card team. So nothing flashy from a year ago. But they made the move to suggest that we should move Frank Robinson, let him move on, as he would move on by 72, but they're going to let his 70 card go to Cleveland because Cleveland wasn't in their division anymore. And they were going to promote Al Bunbury, a 337 hitter. So, how did all this work out? Well, not very well at all. And it was a mixture, the same kind of really questionable team batting average of 238, and collectively, everybody on the team's cards, everybody hit better than 238, so it's like a 2-year batting slump. But Frank Robinson is not around, so you can't blame him anymore. He was the rock of this team. They let him go, and Boog Powell had another almost identical year, 228 this time, 922 RBI. You see Bobby Gritsch fell off from a Rookie of the Year performance in this, and you see Davey Johnson at the Mendoza line. Oddly enough, they had Brooks Robinson. He did his best. 283, led the club, 350 on base. His 1970 Hoover World Series MVP card. Bunbury, though, just a 264 debut. So adding Gritsch and Bunbury in back-to-back years did not do too much, as this team is 4 under 500. And I haven't even looked at the pitching yet. Paul Blair had a nice year with his 70 card, was able to get power and stolen bases in there. He tried. I think Brooks Robinson and Blair achieved okay, trying to carry this club with a struggling Boog Powell. But it was the pitching that was awful. First, the good news. In the offseason, they went out and traded Pat Dobbs to the Phillies to acquire Grant Jackson, Bill Wilson. There were some draft picks involved. And those guys did not disappoint. Excellent. 84-cent ERAs and 42 combined innings. Grant Jackson went to the All-Star game. Also, Jim Harden, the long man, overachieved with 21 very good innings. And Dick Hall was okay. His ERA was over 4. But the starting pitching, let's start with the best of that as well, Jim Palmer. Palmer was 8-0 and the All-Star game starting pitcher. He was 8-0. Then in the postseason tournament, oh boy, he started to get knocked around. But speaking of getting knocked around, nothing could be worse than the dismal finishes of Dave McNally and Mike Cuellar. Milt Pappas was hardly asked to pitch as the number 4 starter. You see his inning total was very low there, because it was basically the Palmer, McNally, Cuellar show. But Mike Cuellar's 1972 card, and this card was hand-picked. We had our choice in the offseason of 70 Cuellar winning 24 games, 71 Cuellar winning 24 games, or the 72 Cuellar winning just 18 games. Well, we determined that Cuellar statistically was a better pitcher in 72 than those other years, in that the Orioles just gave him more wins with more support in 70 and 71. So we picked the 72 card, and it blew up terribly. So everything the Orioles tried to do from 2021 into 2022, everything failed. They lost Frank Robinson. Bunbury as a rookie didn't do anything. Gritsch as a Rookie of the Year last year didn't do anything. Boog Powell continued a 2-year-long slump, and the entire pitching staff faded. Starting pitching staff. The entire starting pitching staff faded. So now, without further ado, let us take a look at the Baltimore Orioles, this is the earliest they have been eliminated in a long time. Very underachieving team here. And we're going to have to move some very high quality 1970 cards out. And this could be a very painful elimination video. Eight guys. You've got Hall of Famers and Oriole Ring of Honor combined guys. So here's the 8. Oh boy, folks. There's some Oriole Ring of Honor Hall of Fame guys there. So this is the building blocks moving forward. So they have no more World Series titles to show until 1983. They will lose 71 and 79 in this decade. So they go with a 7-5 split. So they go with balanced offense and pitching. And this is what you have. Blefary is a DH, kind of, but he can play all over the place. It's a nice left-handed stick, and that's just a decent card. But it's, you know. Johnny Oates and Echebarren are your platoon catchers. You do have Bobby Gritsch, the nice card here. And defensively, he is still better at short than he is at second, even though eventually he becomes a better second baseman than shortstop. But in the infield. And then you have an outfield. You've got Buford, he'll come back, and this is probably the best offensive card we have for the Orioles. And then you have Bumbry and Motton can platoon in right field. Or you could even let Bumbry play every day and, you know, absorb not hitting lefties well, just to have him in the lineup every day, because this is fantastic on the right side, of course. This will get you 337 with speed, defense not there. But it's up to Bumbry to rebound next year, Bobby Gritsch to rebound next year, Blefary to be an on-base machine to lead this offense. And as far as the pitching staff goes, interestingly, those great relief pitchers we talked about, at least 2 of them are still here. Bill Wilson, you see a righty gets lefties out, that's nice. And of course Grant Jackson, his best card in '73, that was highly sought after. So closing out games shouldn't be an issue with the Orioles. And they do have Cuellar and McNally. And this is that 72 Cuellar card we like so much. Now, if you turn a card over, you're not going to see a 20-game winner. You'll see an 18-game winner. But statistically, he doesn't put as many men on base as he did in 70 and 71. Most of that is the left-handed batters he faces, though. And his card just got knocked around. That's all I can say. The opponents just kept rolling 5-9s and 5-10s and 6-8s all year long. And anybody is the victim of that, and Cuellar was. McNally, it's a 71 McNally with 21 wins, a 2.89 ERA, so that's fine. And this Milt Pappas card, they reacquired him. He was with the Orioles in the 60s. And by trading Pat Dobson to Philadelphia, they needed to replace that spot, so they brought Milt Pappas back. This is a nice card for him. 72 year with the Cubs. He almost threw a no-hitter with them, with like 2 outs in the 9th inning. 17-game winner, 2.77 ERA. And of course, you can assume Jim Palmer will, of course, come back. But the Orioles are going to have some tough decisions to make in this offseason. And an offseason, after giving up Frank Robinson a year ago, are there any more star Orioles they have to let go? Let's see who they keep, waive, and retire. Okay, folks, let's take a look at these 1970 Oriole players and see how they can keep everybody they want to keep and move along with ones they don't want to move along with. And we start with Paul Blair, who plays all the way to 1980. Nice long career for Paul Blair. And he's going to have some nice Oriole years left between 71 and 4. So there's 70, the year we just had. Pretty much in 73, he hits 280. And he goes to the All-Star game and wins a Gold Glove. He wins Gold Gloves this entire time. This is a no-brainer. Paul Blair's coming back. You just cannot, let him go. There are certain players that, regardless of performance, if you're, you stay with that team, unless you're mathematically incapable of keeping the guy because he wasn't there. Such as the next guy, Roy Foster. He was acquired in the Frank Robinson trade. In a short term, we liked his 1970 card because it was similar to Frank's. 268, or similar to the performance, 268, 23 home run, 824 OPS, led the league in hit by pitches, interestingly. In 71, he qualified for waivers with 439 plate appearances, so let's just put him there. And that'd be a nice little player that somebody will pick up on waivers, because he still has plenty of power. So Roy Foster will go on waivers, because obviously he's not part of the Baltimore future. All right, this could get ugly right here and now with Dave Johnson. So we know what happens to Dave Johnson. He's probably calling the commissioner's office and say, can you put me on Atlanta so I can hit 41 homers? And this is kind of interesting because the Orioles don't have to do that, but they might be forced to. Davey Johnson, he still was with Baltimore in 71 and 2. Would be in the 71 World Series against Pittsburgh, getting 282. Has a bad year in 72 and then is traded for Earl Williams, and look what happens in 73 with the Braves. 43 home runs and a 270 average, 916 OPS, 13 MVP votes. So that's the options. Baltimore has two of them. You keep his 71 card as a status quo, or you make the big trade with Atlanta. So for temporarily, Dave Johnson is a keeper. They love to keep him. This could be a situation that the Mets had last year when they couldn't keep Tommy A.G. because they were keeping Seaver, Kuzman, Grody, and Cleon Jones. And we could very well see 5 Oriole keepers and somebody having to leave. Think of it as just payroll. You can't pay everybody. So Boog Powell's next. And Boog really is disappointed in 2 years in a row with his 70 card. Now, coming forward, 71 to 74, he's okay. He's good. He's decent, but he's certainly not an MVP anymore. He doesn't hit over 900 OPS anymore. What's really interesting is in 75, he gets shipped to Cleveland, and it responds with 27 homers and a 297 batting average, eerily close to his 70 performance, 901 OPS. So, interesting. So you have a couple guys here that the Orioles should hold on to, but they might not have an opportunity to. So Boog Powell is another keeper. But do you trade him? Do you let him get to Cleveland for that? First of all, he doesn't even have that option, right? Because next year's 71 to 4. These are all Baltimore years. So Cleveland wouldn't even be able to move to that card. So he's probably not going to be traded to Cleveland yet. Maybe what they do is they keep his 71 card, let this card run back next year, and then they trade him to Cleveland. Okay, Brooks Robinson, I'll just put the 10,000 there as a keeper. We know Brooks Robinson's a keeper. He's a Hall of Famer for the Orioles. And the good news is there's a couple options for which Brooks they can do. Defensively, he's going to be a Gold Glover. Offensively, they got a couple options here. They can go power or average. 71 is power, 20 home runs, 754 OPS. But 74 card is average, 288, 353 on base percentage. So yeah, they have a nice choice to make there. The 74 card is a 4-year contract, meaning that you don't have to worry about Brooks Robinson for 4 more years. All right, next year, and this is what is going to cause the cart to overflow, it's Jim Palmer. And Jim Palmer, of course, is just settling into his prime here now and starting to reel off Cy Young awards here and that kind of thing. Has an injured year in here somewhere. He's got some Cy Youngs in 76 and 73. The 70 year we just had a 119 whip, and he's better than that in every year coming up except 74. 74 he got hurt apparently, 7 and 12. So that's the year we'll throw out. But yeah, he's coming back. 10,000 for a keeper. So we have 5 keepers and a waiver. We have 2 players left. Jim Harden. You can almost ensure that Jim Harden will move on, either through waivers or retirement. So 70 had an okay year. 6-5 on a World Series team, 145 innings. 71 and 72. He would have a 72 card with Atlanta. I'm guessing 79 innings. But to qualify for waivers, he needs a card in 71 in 34 innings. That might not exist. We have to go verify it if that exists. And it would be either with Baltimore or New York. So let's go to the roster page of 71. And let's see if we can find Jim Harden on the Orioles or Yankees. He's not there for the Orioles and their regular players, nor is he there with the Yankees. And so we'll look at the extra guys. Dalrymple, Hall, Mott, and Salmon, and the Yankees. Jim Harden. Jim Harden for the Yankees. They made his card for the Yankees in 71, which is really interesting because you see he did pitch 28 innings. They may have combined that and given the guy a 34 inning card. But his card does exist, so he does qualify for waivers, which is good news for the league in general, because we don't want to retire too many guys. We want to have 64 or less retirees. So Jim Harden, which is 2 per team of the 32 teams. Jim Harden will go on waivers. And lastly, Dick Hall. Dick Hall was a big part of the World Series win a couple years ago. It basically was the 3 starters, and Dick Hall was a one-man bullpen, the only guy they really trusted. And so 70 Dick Hall here. Long career. You see, he left Baltimore in 67 and 8 and came back for 69 and 70. 71, he's 40 years old. He's got a 4.98 ERA, and now we're just trying to determine if it's waivers or retirement. So 43 innings for Dick Hall for Baltimore. Let's see if that's there. Go back to Baltimore. We don't see him in the regulars, but I think we saw him in the extra players, did we not? We'll look here for Baltimore, Dalrymple, Dick Hall. So Dick Hall has a card in 71, which means he qualifies for waivers as well. So that's another advantage that you've got 5 keepers, 3 guys to put on waivers, and no retirements. So this is a healthy offseason where Baltimore needs to make some moves. So the obvious one to me is trading Davey Johnson. He becomes your casualty of a great franchise. Paul Blair, Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, and and Jim Palmer. Let's start with Palmer, Brooksy as 1 and 2 in either order. Paul Blair 3. And then Boog Powell. The reason I have Boog Powell slightly ahead of Davey Johnson is that Boog Powell doesn't get his big year till 1975 with Cleveland, whereas we know Davey Johnson's big year is 1973. So it's up to the Orioles to let that phone ring and let it ring, and you know it's Atlanta, and let it ring again, and really drive Atlanta nuts. And Atlanta's going to go, hey, we want to win the World Series. We got all these sluggers, Dusty Baker, Hank Aaron, Ralph Garr, Rico Carty, Darrell Evans, and we want to add Davey Johnson to the line because we need to get past the New York Mets. What do we have to give you? Let's theoretically take a peek. What would the Braves have to give up? Well, obviously Earl Williams is what they gave up. And actually, you know what? That's not a bad gig, because the Earl Williams that's presently in the league is the Earl Williams with the 33 home runs. So that would be a good gig. If it wasn't Earl Williams, his 71 card, the good card, the Orioles would get a 33 home run catcher for 1 year. Now we know they never got that. They never got that card again. He was just an average catcher or below average when he went to Baltimore. But in this particular replay, they would get the 71 Earl Williams card, which is 33 home runs. And that would certainly help the Baltimore offense. So that's the start of the trade, the actual one. Earl Williams for Dave Johnson. But I think Baltimore would hold out and say, okay, what else? And Atlanta would say, what do you mean, what else? Let's see. Dusty Baker's not going anywhere. Darrell Evans, Ralph Garr, they're not going anywhere. Felix Millan is the second baseman. The Orioles don't need a second base. Well, Millan could replace... Second or short would be interesting, right? Because you got Bobby Gritsch, who could play either position. Davey Johnson was a 2 second baseman. Mian is a 2 second baseman, but Mian's contract is up as well. So, interesting. You could trade Mian for Davey Johnson as the 70 guys, okay? Follow that. 70 Mian and 70 Davey Johnson would be swapped for each other. And then 71 Earl Williams. The Orioles have a 71 catcher they could put in this deal. I'm sure they do. They have Johnny Oates. They have 72 Johnny Oates, and they have 71 Echeverren. I hate to lose Echeverren, but that'd be a tough trade. But again, you're kind of forced into moving Davey Johnson to the Braves. Let's see who else could be involved in that deal. If it's not Mian and Echeverren. Again, I don't think the Orioles need pitching help. Yeah, these guys are, yeah. Well, Tommy Aaron, Rico Carty. You know, it could be Rico Carty. And the reason that would be is that Rico Carty's monster years were 69 and 70, so he's not that much value to the Braves at this point, plus he's a DH only. Would Baltimore take Rico Carty and Earl Williams, figuring that's a lot of offensive punch, and scramble around and try and find a second baseman to replace Davey Johnson while the Braves hold on to Felix Mian? That's a possibility. The Orioles could say that. The Orioles could think that's a lot of pop. Earl Williams, 71 card, and Rico Carty as a free agent, as a re-signee for Davey Johnson. And one of those 71 hitters like Kurt Blefary, or what 71 player would the Orioles send them? Kurt Blefary would make sense. They don't need him. Or Kurt Motton. Kurt Motton, there you go. He's a DH, just like Rico Carty. So I think it would be Davey Johnson and Kurt Motton for Rico Carty and Earl Williams. And there you go. That's kind of closer to the actual trade. Let's go take a peek and see what the actual trade was. Fun to do this now instead of waiting to do this later. At least thinking about this. So what was the transaction? We'll scroll down here. It was a big deal. They traded him, Davey Johnson, Pat Dobson, Rorik Harrison, and Johnny Oates to the Braves for Taylor Duncan and Earl Williams. This is actually seemed like on paper a win for the Orioles if you thought that Pat Dobson was going to be fading and Earl Williams was going to be a superstar catcher. Didn't turn out that way, and who knew that Davey Johnson was going to hit 40 home runs. I don't have Pat Dobson in Baltimore anymore, nor Rorik Harrison. I do have Johnny Oates in a 72 card, and him on Atlanta makes some sense. We could toss him in the deal too, just to sweeten it up. Let's see what happens if we toss him into the deal. Johnny Oates is a 72 player now, so this would be a 3 for 3. I need a 72 player to come back to Baltimore. And we have, here are your candidates. Dusty Baker, he's not going anywhere. Ralph Garr, he's not going anywhere. Phil Negro's not going anywhere. Joe Horlen. It could be Joe Horlen. Yeah, it could very well be Joe Horlen. As, and the reason it would be Joe Horlen is he wasn't really associated with the Braves during this era. So that's an interesting trade. I think the Braves and the Orioles will have a nice little trade to do, getting Davey Johnson to Atlanta, and because we know the results, we can make it more equitable for both squads. That's something that those franchises didn't have in the 1970s. This may well be one of the top 5 player movements. We know about Joe Morgan to Cincinnati is number 1. Also, Tom Seaver from the Mets to the Reds is probably number 2 is in this decade for player movement. But Davey Johnson leaving Baltimore and then hitting 40 homers in Atlanta is probably in that top 10 of top trades of the 70s. So kind of want to do it the right way and kind of find some equity since we know what the results are going to be, and the Orioles and Braves did not. Well, that's it. It's been a long analysis with this trade thing tossed in at the very end. But thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.